Hello, welcome back, fellow seekers and friends, to the Law of One Spiritual Advice Podcast. My name is Elle, and I have a good podcast set up for you today. We are going to be talking about doing and being and the details of the day. How I could briefly describe it to you is life is complicated, spiritual seeking is complicated. There's so many details of the day to get lost upon. So what are my tarot cards? What was my previous life like? What are my lessons that I have to learn? What is my astrology like? What about all these esoteric information that I must understand in order to be enlightened? Da 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 da. And so those questions, my friends, are good that you're out seeking them, but they are still just details of the day. And what I would like to explain to you by the end of this podcast is it is less about your doing and more about your being that seems to matter in the equation of life. And so I have a number of quotes lined up that I would like to read you to just share with you my opinion and spiritual philosophy take on these matters. So this is from the Law of One material. It can be found on my website, theoneinfinitecreator.com, and I have links to the LL Research material who provides us all of this for free. Thank you to them. So this is going to be starting with session 84.7 in the Law of One, the raw material, and they are asking them about the coming earth changes, let's call it. You know that is still a very popular topic these days, and this was channeled in like 1982 or 3 or 4 between those years, and even then they seem to have the same sort of transient material that they would like to seek, and Ra likes to give little hints throughout the material if you pay attention as to, hey, this is transient material, we will answer your questions, however, we just want you to know that they're kind of like pointless because you're not really getting to the heart of being, the heart of self. So this is session 84.7, and the questioner asks Ra, they say, thank you, I'm sure that we are getting into an area of problem with the first distortion here, and by that they mean the law of confusion, the right to be to not know, I suppose, to be confused. Anyways, they say, and also with a difficulty in a bit of transient material here. But I have 2 questions from people that I'll ask, although I consider especially the first one to be of no lasting value. This person's name has asked about coming physical changes, specifically this summer. Is there anything that we could relate to him about this? Ra answers, I am Ra. We may confirm the good intention of the source of this entity's puzzles and suggest that it is a grand choice that each may make to, by desire, collect the details of the day, or by desire to seek the keys to unknowing. End of quote. And in that, you may see here that they mention the keys to unknowing. And that is also what this podcast is mostly going to be about the unknowing, about the infinite. And this is sort of when I'm talking about doing and being, you can think of the difference being the difference between a sort of finite lesson, dealing with the finite details of the day versus the infinite lessons of life, which are long-lasting and more true to your being in a deep sense, as opposed to, what you ate this morning is less important as to how you felt the love in your heart for your family and friends, and et cetera, et cetera. And so they state here also in the doing being category in session 76.4, they state, it is the being that informs the working, not the working that informs the being. End of quote. And once again, highlighting here that you can do all the things that you'd like in the world. You can seek an infinity of circumstances and manners, but if you are not really working with the energies of the heart and learning about love and the lessons of love, then, I would think that maybe you may want to have a relook at your life and the way that you put your focus on certain things. It's not wrong to be doing things, of course. We have many things that we need to do that sort of involve the lower chakra work of life, which is like the chores of life, the sort of doing the physical grunt work that you have to do. However, you can do that stuff in a manner which with an open heart, hopefully, and that doesn't really matter how you are doing them. It matters like the love that you do the thing with, which I have a quote from the other types of channeling from LL Research, which is the conscious channeling. So Ra is unconscious channeling, and this is going to be conscious channeling. It just has a little bit more distortion from the channeler in it, but this obviously is going to give us a good idea of what I'm trying to speak about in more human forms. So I titled this part, Have You Loved Today? And this is from instead of Ra, they call themselves Latwi. So they state in 1979, February 18th, as your cycle changes, you have seen the laws of nature, so-called violated, many times by those who are able to use a less local illusion or reflection of the law of the Creator. Thus, metal is bent, objects are moved, people are healed. We can take you away from your time and your space, and you can see that they are, indeed, not laws at all. We can remove you from mass and show you that that, too, is an illusion and not a law. How far can we go with you, my friends? Through how many dimensions can we take you until you are in a place of light where things begin, where things end, where things are? You see, my friends, we wish to answer your questions as best we can, but we wish you to realize more than all else that questions and answers are meaningless. Feelings and emotions are meaningless. All of the tools with which you are familiar with at this time are not helpful outside your locality. You have one useful attribute, and that is the quality of your love. Have you loved today? End of quote. And so need I say any extra about that? I mean, that is really on point right there. I really love how some of the, the conscious channeling sort of speaks a little bit more loosely, but, a little bit more to the heart. And so have you loved today? You've done all the many things. There are other quotes here where they talk about, cleaning the bathroom. The cleaning the bathroom obviously isn't something that many people like to do, but can you do it with love in your heart, with gratitude for the Creator, gratitude that you are free to, suppose, have a bathroom and have the ability to clean it and have the physical health to move around and breathe and be a part of the creation and bring light to a seemingly dark bathroom area, dirty. You get to clean it up, bring it to a sense of perfection and harmony. And so, you can do a lot of seemingly negative or lame things with love in your heart. And man, as I say it, I'm like, oh my God, this sounds so repetitive and annoying, because it sounds like a little woo-woo, to love in your heart. But my friends, it is what it is. And so I now have a little bit more of an intricate section that I would like to highlight for you. And this is back to the raw material again. And so this is about how, I just want to run the point home here, how we talk about how during incarnation, we can say that we are like going through school and that we are basically studying as we go through incarnation. And then as we pass on and we move back into the spirit realm, where we are sort of get together with our higher selves and review the incarnation, it is my understanding at that point is the test. So the incarnation is the study, and the after incarnation, the review is sort of the test. And the idea here is I just want to once again show you how all the doing and all the studying and all the many details of the world that you can take in and learn about, there's nothing wrong with them. They're wonderful, and there's an infinity of things that you can learn. But the thing is that are they teaching you about what's infinite? Are they just bringing you down rabbit holes of finiteness that end up with one detail into another detail into another detail? Or do they end with the mysterious, with the unknowing, with the energy of the Creator, which is the infinity of circumstances of the unknowing? And so I will read this quote to you. In fact, it was kind of interesting. I don't even fully remember reading this quote, and I've read The Law of One many, many times. So this is always fun when a sort of new one pops its head out to me. So this is from 83.7, and they state, the questioner, one thing I don't understand is why, if there was no veil, that the review of incarnation after the incarnation would help the process, since it seems to me that the entity should already be aware of what was happening. Possibly this has to do with the nature of space-time and time-space. Could you clear that up, please? And I just want to, before I read Ra's answer, I guess I just wanted to mention that in the Law of One material, they often are comparing about a time in Earth's history, I suppose, where there were people who incarnated with no veil. And so there's, for the last many thousands of years, we have incarnated on here with a veil, which is a veil of unknowing. It's basically shielding you from the all-knowing of the Creator, and so that you can be a little self and experience the illusion of this finiteness, the illusion of space-time. And then once you sort of die and go back into your indigo body at the higher self and go through your review, you are in then time-space. And so at that time is what I was mentioning before, is where they talk about the test. So Ra answers here, I am Ra. It is true that the nature of time-space is such that a lifetime may be seen whole as a book or record, the pages studied, rifled through, and reread. However, the value of review is that of the testing as opposed to the studying. At the testing, when the test is true, the distillations of all study are made clear. During the process of study, which you may call the incarnation, regardless of an entity's awareness of the process taking place, the material is diffused and over-attention is almost inevitably placed on detail. The testing upon the cessation of the incarnative state is not that testing which involves the correct memorization of many details. This testing is rather the observing of self by self, often with the aid, as we have said. In this observation, one sees the sum of all the detailed study, that being an attitude or complex of attitudes which bias the consciousness of the mind-body-spirit. End of quote. And so if I am to give my sort of translation of what was just read there, I already explained the study being the incarnation, the test being the review. And that is, I suppose, the point of the review is to conglomerate all of the many, many details that you went through in incarnation and distilling from them love and light. And I know that sounds woo-woo, but it is what it is. It's distilling the infinite from the finite. It is pulling out what actually matters. And that is the attitude or the complex of attitudes which have biased your consciousness during this incarnation. Which I always comes to mind that quote, who I'll have to look up one day who it's by, but they state, you'll do things for many people in their life, and it is not what you did for them that they will remember, but it is the feeling that you left with them that they will really remember. It's sort of the love and care that you have given to somebody, and not necessarily the amount of something that you have given to somebody. It's about the quality of your love and not the quantity of the love. And I found one more small one that I could just add on here just to hit it home. So this is from session 71.18. And I won't read the question because it's all complicated. It take a lot of explaining. I just more want to get the essence of the answer of this. So the Ra answers to one of their questions about, how to sort of play the self, how to play the self as an instrument, right? Ra asks or answers, they say, to comment upon this list is to play the mechanic which views the instruments of the orchestra and adjusts and tunes the instruments. You will note that these are mechanical details. The art does not lie herein. End of quote. So they were actually more so talking about sort of doing like magic in a way, but I can still extrapolate this out to just general understanding of life. And so if you as you say you wanted to, participate in some magic. Well, it's not necessarily the ritual that you do, like there are rituals that you would do and maybe like spells types of stuff that you would do, but it is still not necessarily the doing. It is the being that is invoked within you, the feeling and the emotions and the focus that is brought up within you that really makes the power of the seeming ritual or the doing, that gives it the power. And it is the essence of your being, which is that power. And so, once again, doing, being, there's obviously a mix of the two. You could just be in a perfect state, and some people, like the Buddhist type folks who just want to sit and meditate all the time and just be, that is a choice that you may have. Most of us are going to be on a sort of good balance of doing and being. And my point with this isn't to say that you need to stop doing things. The point of this is to just state that I want your focus in the right spot, and the right spot is about the essence of your being, the quality of your love, and not necessarily the amount of things you do, the amount of knowledge you know, the amount of things you know, the amount of conspiracies that you know, the amount of esoteric knowledge that you know, what you know about chakras and blah 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 blah, right? It's all about the quality of your heart. You don't even need to know spiritual material. I just think of like mostly I think of energies like mothers. I don't know why that comes to heart. Obviously, some of you are mothers listening to this, and you are very spiritually aware. But my point is that there's that sort of archetypical mom who isn't really concerned with these types of spiritual things and are more just concerned with loving their family and her kids. And to me, like that person is doing maybe even a better service than I may be doing in trying to teach spiritual things to people, right? It's like the quality of love within her heart can be so much more intense and deep than maybe the quality of love that I can offer through these podcasts. And so, right, it doesn't really matter what you do. It's just how you do it. Okay. Which I would like to end with one, and that would be this one, the gateway to the present and to seek the unknown. Once again, I suppose you would recognize the unknown comes up in this a lot, and that is my understanding is that the one infinite creator is sort of described loosely as intelligent infinity, and intelligence does imply consciousness and meaning, but the infinity implies unknowing and mystery, and the creator was sort of born from mystery and maybe ends in mystery, and so the whole thing is a bit mysterious. And so it's actually, before I read you this quote, I didn't pull this one, but I pretty much bring it up all the time, and I almost have it memorized in my head. But Ra states somewhere else that, it's something like, it is imperative to graduate from this density to understand that you do not understand. And so I know that's a paradox, but once again, we go through the details of the day. We go down the rabbit hole to find infinity. We don't want to necessarily get tricked. The great trick, as I call it sometimes, the easiest way to be tricked in this life is to get too caught up in the politics and the conspiracies and the details of how people have wronged you and the many, many reasons to be upset about life. You can focus on that all you like, but that is just going to take away from the focus of the lessons that will, increase the quality of your heart. And it's just so easy to get caught up in that stuff because it seems really, really important. And, sometimes they are important, some of these things. But like I say, in the long run, you can kind of look at it like, will what you're worried about be important, 20 years from now, 40 years from now, 100 years from now, 200 years from now, 1,000 years from now? That's how I like to think in the long run. And so to me, if I think of myself with many, many incarnations and where I do many things, one time I'm a construction person, one time I'm a banker, one time I'm a homeless person. These are all details of the day. The attitudes that I had created during those incarnations, the quality of love that was built up in my heart, and the experience that was distilled from, the love that was distilled from the experience, that is what's going to matter in the long run. And then even then, the long run, right? We're talking about the future. Well, I'd still like to then bring you back to the present, because the unknown, the moment, the love, everything is within this moment. There is intelligent infinity, and that sort of is like right now. So right here in 17.2, Ross states, we cannot offer shortcuts to enlightenment. Enlightenment is of the moment, is an opening to intelligent infinity. It can only be accomplished by the self for the self. Another self cannot teach, learn enlightenment, but only teach, learn information, inspiration, or a sharing of love, of mystery, of the unknown that makes the other self reach out and begin the seeking process that ends in a moment. But who can know when an entity will open the gateway to the present? End of quote. And so I will leave you with that, and I will actually just wrap it up with the first quote just to really drill it into you here. So we may confirm the good intention of the source of this entity's puzzles and suggest that it is a grand choice that each may make to, by desire, collect the details of the day, or by desire, to seek the keys to unknowing. And so, my friends, I hope that you remember in all the many convincing aspects of the illusion and the many convincing aspects of your mind that would like to place importance on certain things and then become very anxious about them, about the future, etc., etc. I just want to try to calm you down a bit, bring you back into reality, into the present moment, and to remember that this is about the quality of love in your heart and not so much what you do, but how you do it and the love with how you do it. And so thank you, my friends, so much for listening. If you appreciated this podcast, could you please shoot me a like there? That lets me know you appreciate the topics and my efforts put into this. And if you can, leave a comment if you'd like, or give it a share if you felt that this was helpful. And, if you also find value in what I do, I would really appreciate it if you jumped on my Patreon. You can shoot me a one-time PayPal or set up a monthly one if you'd like. I seek to give all of this information for free. I feel that it is important in my learnings and understandings to offer information freely given, freely receive. It is the sort of energy of the heart that I understand to be true. And so thank you to those who freely give to me and, can help the reciprocation of freely giving going. I'm extremely grateful that I can even do it in this format. I, struggled for many years that I wanted to do something like this, but I just hate the idea of putting things behind a paywall. I really like information being free, and I need you people, you fellow seekers, lovers, friends, to assist in that manner. And I also, I always forget to mention, honestly, I know that times are tough right now with inflation. That's kind of why you get the begging at the end of every episode. And so do know that if you can't join, it's absolutely no problem at all. I have no hard feelings. I have only love and gratitude for you, even listening to this. If any of my words have resonated with your heart, I am grateful. That's all I really, really seek to do. So please never feel obligated to join. I just feel that there are people out there with abundance, who have things to share, and they can put that energy where they feel it is valuable. And so here we are, my friends. So anyways, thank you so much for listening. TheOneInfiniteCreator.com is the site. Thank you guys. I love you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. And I hope the mic was good too. I took some of the funds from the podcast and bought myself a nice little arm to put the mic on. So therefore I can sit up straight and not bend over and have to put the mic right by my face. It seems to be right in front of my face now. So if you notice the audio was any better or worse, do please let me know. Maybe this is even too close to my face now. I might need to quiet it down. So we'll see what you guys say. So thank you guys for listening. I love you. Take care.